Good evening. I'm Kent Siemens, and I'm your instructor for Computer Science 235 this semester, a course on data structures and algorithms. So it's a pleasant summer evening. I'm out here on my patio, roasting marshmallows on my fire pit. There's about a week until school starts, and I'm thinking about our course. Let me give you a quick view of my paver patio I built a few years ago. You might hear some crickets chirping in the background, but with about a week left in school, I wanted to tell you some new things that I'm doing for the course this semester and some of my tips and suggestions about how to succeed in the class. Here are my tips for how to succeed in Computer Science 235. You should prepare for each class in advance. The biggest change I'm making to the class is that instead of me presenting the slides in class, I've prepared a slidecast and uploaded all the slidecasts to a YouTube channel where you can listen to slidecasts before you come to class. Then when you come to class, I'll answer questions, we'll work out homework problems, and we'll go into more depth into the material that you've already reviewed. So it's important for you to prepare for class and then attend class and fully participate. And I think if you do this, we're going to have a much deeper learning experience than we've had in the past. Now, I'd like you to get off to a fast start in the course. By that I mean I'd like you to complete the first 2 labs on time or a few days early. Now, I think this is very doable. The first lab isn't due until about the 3rd week of the semester. In the past, I've noticed that students who've struggled with the course often don't complete the first lab on time, and then they're never able to catch up during the semester. So you need to make a concentrated effort that if you're having any difficulty early on to seek help and work hard to get that first lab done on time. Now you can review the lab write-ups and then attend a TA help section with any questions you might have. We'll have a help section for every lab that's assigned this semester. You should design a solution to your lab before you start generating your source code. Now, I've noticed in the past that students who struggle with a lab often dive into the coding before they've completely understood the problem and designed a coherent solution. And then they spend a significant amount of time trying to fix problems and understand their broken solution when they would have been better off to have taken a little more time to design before they started coding. You should test all your code using strategies that we'll talk about from the textbook. I'd like you to learn to use a debugger if you're not already familiar with one. Now you can download source code from the student website to review the concepts from class. All of the source code examples in our textbook can be downloaded so you can take this code and experiment with it and see how it works. Now we also will have a Google group, and you should follow the class discussion on that group. And finally, I invite you to come and talk to me, especially if you're struggling. I think last year I probably had less than 10 students from class come to my office and see me. Now it's probably a good thing that all the students don't try to come to my office all at once. So we have a lot of resources, TAs, and other things to where you can probably get the help that you need. But especially if you start struggling, I invite you to come and talk to me so that I can understand what's going on and I can give you feedback and some input. I'd also invite you to come talk to me even if you aren't struggling, but you'd like to talk about maybe your career plans or questions you have about what classes to take in the future. I'd love to talk with you about my research area in computer security, if some of you are interested in that topic and might be interested in joining my research lab in the future. Maybe you want to talk about graduate school, if you have any questions about whether or not you should attend graduate school. So I'd love to come and have you come talk to me just about whatever's on your mind at some time during the semester. Now, to prepare for class in advance, I think the best thing you can do is listen to the slidecasts that are on YouTube. You can also study the PowerPoint slides on your own. They contain a concise summary of all the key points from the chapter. You can also review material from the textbook. Now, it may not be ideal that you just read the textbook chapters from start to finish, but instead you should sort of get an overview from a high level. You might study the slides first and then go to the textbook to get more in-depth information on points that need clarification or things you'd like to learn more about. The chapters have a nice summary at the end that reviews all the key points from the chapter. So I'd recommend you start there and review that summary to see what are the key points of this chapter. Then you can skim the material first, looking for definitions that are in bold, look at the diagrams, some review questions, the coding examples, to get a high-level overview of what's in the chapter. And then finally you can read for detailed understanding when an idea is unfamiliar or unclear. And finally, study the source code examples and make sure you understand all of the C++ that's there. A most meaningful part of your learning is you identifying a meaningful question and then acting on it by asking for help. You can ask questions in class from your preparation. You can ask the TAs questions you might have, especially about the programming labs or anything to do with C++. You can also ask fellow students during the student discussion time in class for help with things you don't understand. We're going to take time in class so that you're going to teach each other the concepts that you're learning. One of the best ways you can learn something is to go ahead and teach it to someone else. I often think that I know something, and then when I sit down to explain it to someone, I find some gaps. And so teaching is one of the best ways you can learn this material. Now you can ask questions on the Google group. By asking questions in a public forum, this lets other students participate in the answering process. And other people, I guarantee you, will have some of the same questions you do, and it helps everyone by someone being bold and putting these questions out for discussion. Now, if you feel uncomfortable asking a question in public, then please send me a private email with your question, and I'll be glad to help you. So asking questions is one of the most important ways you take responsibility for your learning, and you seek learning by faith. I hope that you'll be able to take advantage of some of these tips and suggestions to have a very successful semester, and I look forward to seeing you in class.